Imagine waking up where the room is spinning so violently to the point where you can't even stand. You crawl to the floor and you just wait it out because you don't know how long it's going to last. Well, that is what life is like with Menieres disease. Hello everyone! If you're new here, my name is Caitlin Boxall and today it's a bit of a different video to what I'd normally do. Normally I would be talking about my films and my artwork or my creative elements in my life. But today I thought I would do something a little bit more personal. Something that is a little bit on the medical side of things. This is by far not a video I would want to do for this channel. It's just something I would not want to talk about. It's not fun at all. I would very much rather talk about what I do with my filmmaking and stuff and my cats and all the stuff that gives me enjoyment. I've come to realise that there is a lot of things that I don't want to talk about on here that would actually benefit a lot of you people out there that might suffer from the same thing, or maybe you're trying to find out more about it to someone who you know might suffer with it. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about Menieres disease. Menieres disease is a chronic ear disorder. A chronic ear disorder will usually affect two of your abilities, your balance and your hearing. I thought I would talk about my Menieres disease today because I think it could really help someone, especially if you've only just been diagnosed, or maybe you know a friend or a relative who's got it and maybe you're struggling to understand why they act the way they do, why their attacks are so bad. Maybe you want to know how to support them. I have struggled with symptoms of Menieres disease pretty much ever since I was a kid, but I was diagnosed at 16 with vertigo. Vertigo is basically a posh term for dizziness or a fear of heights, which some people like to refer it as. Vertigo is usually something that's either short term or it's a symptom of something on a much larger scale, such as Menieres disease. I've been pretty much medicated for it ever since I was 16. When I had my first vertigo attack, I think I was about 8 or 10 years old. It was around that sort of span of my childhood. And I remember I was sitting on the floor drawing. It's a very hard sensation to describe, but if you can imagine the ceiling suddenly becoming the floor, like the whole room just completely flipped on its side, it is an absolute horrible feeling. It is literally as if someone has placed you upside down on the ceiling. That is what it feels like. That is an example of an attack that happens out of nowhere all of a sudden. But then you get another kind of attack with vertigo that sort of simmers and you can feel it coming on, and it's like the room is, it's not always the same spinning sensation where it goes round and round. It's mostly a sort of spinning sensation where it's like a boat and you feel like you're on the sea in a boat and it's rocking like that. It is literally like getting on a roller coaster that you did not ask to be on. Now, before I go ahead with all my personal information about Menieres disease and my advice to some of you that might also be suffering, I want to say now, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor, I'm literally speaking from my own personal experience of someone that has suffered from it. So yeah, my diagnosis of vertigo was not changed officially to Menieres disease until I turned 25 this year, because my doctors, which is the new doctors compared to previous doctors I've had in the past, they happen to be a lot more experienced with Menieres disease and they happen to just know more about it. And they also took in consideration how long I've already suffered with feelings of vertigo and how long I've been medicated for it. They came to the conclusion that this is quite clearly Menieres disease. You have too many of the symptoms. You've got the tinnitus, the drop of hearing, the balance issues, the nausea when you have an attack. I would say my medical experience with it in terms of trusting doctors has not been that great, because I have constantly been around doctors that don't really understand it and are not experienced enough to sort of know what they're dealing with. And my diagnosis of vertigo could have been corrected to Menieres disease years ago if I had the right medical people around me that understood the condition and knew what they were dealing with. Sadly, that wasn't really my experience, but nevertheless, you know, I'm in the right place now and I'm getting the right support now and the right referrals, which is great. Frustratingly, there is no single test in order to diagnose Menieres disease. It takes time and patience. This is because it takes medical professionals to determine whether it's something that's happening in a short-term sort of length of time or a long-term length of time. And the reason they need to be able to tell the difference is because a lot of people do experience feelings of vertigo, but it can usually be an age-related thing when they get into their older years of life, or sometimes, regardless of your age, sometimes people can experience feelings of vertigo, but it can be like a one-off thing. It could be just something as simple as being scared of heights. But when someone is literally suffering on a day-to-day basis where it's debilitating their life and preventing them from doing certain things, and they're experiencing feelings of vertigo out of nowhere, no sort of clear cause to it, then that usually spans over a long term. Because vertigo on its own is not a condition. Vertigo is the name of a spinning sensation and it's a symptom of something much broader. If it's gone on for a long time, it should really be branded as Menieres disease. And that's when you get the right support, referrals and the right medication. But yeah, for someone who's always had it, it's completely unpredictable and it is not just dizziness. at all. It is not that. It is more than that. You do not get just a sensation of vertigo. You also get tinnitus, you get drop in hearing, balance issues, and feeling of fullness in your ears. My Menieres disease has given me quite aggressive attacks where I've literally had to hang on to walls, furniture, things like that. It's really, really horrible to experience. It's an invisible condition that you can't see physically. And with invisible conditions comes a lot of judgment, because when I've had attacks in public, a lot of people look at me and they just assume that I'm pissed and I've had a drink. I'm not even someone that drinks alcohol. So for someone that suffers from this and people who don't know me see me have an attack, it is horrible because I know exactly what they're thinking, and I've actually had people come up to me and go, oh, have you had too much to drink? And as I've gone through life living with it, I've always had this thought in the back of my mind, thinking to myself, when is the next attack going to be? Because you don't know when you're next going to have an attack. It could be anywhere. You could be out in public, you could be in your bed sleeping, you could be doing a cup of tea in the morning or afternoon, you could be sitting chatting to your mates, and it just comes out of nowhere. And I've had attacks that have caused my head to suddenly fall to one side, and I've been in front of people while it's happened, and they just give me this look like, what the hell's wrong with her? I don't know for certain what causes my attacks, but I have had medical advice over the years where I've been advised to stay away from caffeine. I can't really drink coffee. I mean, I can have caffeine if I want to, but caffeine will do nothing but overstimulate my brain. You do not want overstimulation to your brain. As someone with Menieres disease, you don't. It's the last thing you want. The other medical advice I've had is to keep an eye on my stress level, such as becoming overwhelmed by crowded scenarios or loud music as well. Like that doesn't help. I mean, you can live whatever lifestyle you want to live, but if you're someone who likes to go nightclubbing, so to speak, and you enjoy that sort of life of loud thumping music and bright flashing lights, that's not really a lifestyle that your mind is going to like if you suffer with Menieres disease. So you might find yourself avoiding scenarios like that. You can try if you want to, but it's very, very difficult, and all it does is just bring on attacks. It is definitely worth going to your doctor, talking about how you suffer, getting put on medication, and getting a referral to E.N.T, which usually stands for ears, nose and throat. At the moment, I've been referred to E.N.T for a second time, and I'm currently awaiting that appointment to be with my specialist. And the reason I've had to be referred for a second time is because the first time when I was referred to E.N.T, I was literally referred to specialist just before COVID started. And literally, just as I was getting the help that I needed, I fell through the net because of the COVID-19 lockdown. So my experience with getting a diagnosis and getting proper treatment and getting proper medical attention from specialists, it was not a good experience at all. I fell through the net with my Menieres disease a number of times because of either medical failures or the fact that COVID happened. But if you're in a position where you can get the help quicker than what I was able to, then it's definitely worth it, because honestly, you do not want to be suffering with it for as long as what I have for so many years. Being medicated for it really makes a difference. It doesn't make it go away. I will make it clear to you now, Menieres disease is not curable. It's lifelong. It's something that's never going to change. You're always going to have it, but medication really, really helps. And you're probably wondering, well, what can I do to deal with it? So my advice to dealing with it is that when you do have an attack, try your best to just lay down or sit and try and wait for it to pass. I personally find it really difficult to do that because of the fact that my vertigo attacks have always been very aggressive. I deal with it by just pacing. I think that's an anxiety thing, because a vertigo attack usually coincides with an anxiety attack because it kicks one or the other off. So it usually goes hand in hand. It's very, very difficult because as soon as you experience a feeling of vertigo, straight away your anxiety levels are going to go through the roof. That's naturally your body and your mind responding to this spinning sensation, basically. But the way I deal with it is, because I get very anxious with it and it starts off a panic attack, I have to start pacing, or I have to put the telly on, and I just look for things to distract myself. If you're someone that really suffers with the anxiety symptoms of a vertigo attack and you find it near impossible to sit down and lay down and wait for it to pass, because it's really difficult to do that, if you're on either of these medications that I put on the screen, of course make sure to take the tablet before you do anything. Just take the tablet, have a bit of fluid, and then try and do what makes you feel okay, whether that's sitting down, laying down, or if you want to pace around, or if you want to watch telly, or just something that's going to take your mind off it. Anything, whatever works for you will work for you. Try and pace, talk to a friend on the phone or face to face if you can. Drink fluid. Drinking fluid is really important. It doesn't stop it, it doesn't prevent it, but it can definitely help during an attack, so it can help regulate your body a bit more. It just helps. Obviously, breathing exercises, and also regulating stress levels is also a very, very important thing. Now, some of you that don't have vertigo or Menieres disease, you might be watching this and thinking to yourself, oh my god, how pathetic that you have to regulate your stress levels in order to not have an an attack. But honestly, stress levels can be one of the main triggers, or even just something as simple as someone upsetting us. Things like that can really trigger an attack. And yeah, it sounds pathetic, but it's true. And I feel really sort of embarrassed and stupid and useless for saying it in this video, which is a big reason why I didn't want to talk about it, because it's so hard to get people who don't suffer from it to understand it. But stress levels and someone upsetting us can really, really bring an attack on. There was one morning I had the most severe, awful attack I've ever had the whole time I've had Menieres disease. It was the most awful attack ever. My mum was there, she saw it. It went into a full-blown panic attack on top. I would say it lasted about an hour. All my other attacks have been like within the range of like 5 to 20 minutes, but this one went on for a full hour because the previous day someone had really, really upset me. And on that previous day, I wasn't actually aware how much they had upset me. And then the next morning, I woke up with the most awful spinning sensation you could possibly imagine. And you know, as I say, it makes me feel really pathetic saying it, but it's true. If you're someone that's got Menieres disease, you will understand what I'm saying. When you get upset by someone, or if something is overwhelming you, whatever it is, it really, really gets to us and it can trigger an attack. Of course, acknowledge the frustration. It's hard feeling like your own body is unpredictable, because that is literally what it feels like. You can adjust, you can learn your limits to things. I should really remind people not to self-diagnose. If you think you've got it, of course, seek medical assistance with it. Don't just straight away self-diagnose and assume you've got it. Talk to a professional first. As I say, E.N.T advice is always the best route to go down. Now, you could be someone that's watching this who hasn't got it, but you might know someone who's got it. There is nothing you can really do to stop it, but what I will say to you is please have patience, because if you just have a go at the person while they have an attack or lose your patience with them, it's only going to make them worse. Get that person some water or get their medication to them if they can't reach their medication, because that's how bad the attacks can be. I've been in a state where I can't even lift my head off the pillow and get up and get my own medication on my own. That's how bad it can get. But yeah, I don't want to go on about this for too long. There's not really a lot of information out there on Menieres disease or vertigo, so I think this video could hopefully help some of you and also the people outside of it to understand those people better. But yeah, if you live with Menieres disease or if you're struggling with vertigo sensations, leave a comment down below. Your experience could help someone. And if you don't suffer from Menieres disease, then thank you for watching anyway, and thank you for trying to learn about what an invisible condition can look like. If I haven't mentioned something that you're hoping to get insight from, comment down below, let me know, and I can do another video if you want. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you found this somewhat helpful, and yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!